This is Kugan Cassius for IFL TV. We're at the MGM Grande ahead of the moment today, later on at some hour. With me from the Boxing News, Tris Dixon. How are you, Tris?
Good, thanks, Kugan. How are things?
Very well. It's been a long week, hasn't it?
For you, probably more than anybody else. I think I might have done about 50 odd stories for this promotion. I think you're up to about 70 odd videos. So, yeah, I'm not sure that there's people who are working the kind of hours that we've pulled this week.
Absolutely, it's a different story though. Fight week here in Las Vegas, you know better than most people what it's like here. Just sum up for me the week of coming here at the start and then sort of the anti-climax on the Sunday after everything's finished. And
do you know what? It's kind of surreal. And I did a piece for our annual on the One, and the event that was the One, and spoke to a lot of people involved in the promotion. You know, that was last year's Mayweather-Alvarez fight. And on the Sunday, quite a few people had sort of a real sort of downer. We're on a real downer because, you know, your whole life, your whole professional life is geared around tonight. And everything that you do, everything that you write, and everything that you read and consume is pretty much based around tonight. And then when it's all over, you know, there's no event like this lined up in the pipeline. We've got Froch Groves obviously in the UK, which is fantastic for us. But you know, that's still three weeks away. So when we get back down to earth and the last story's filed, and for us the magazine goes to press on Tuesday, it's kind of back to reality really. And then, you know, when the day-to-day stuff, the next issue starts on a Wednesday, it's almost like you got to pick yourself up for it again, because it's like this event's just been dominant in our workloads, and maybe less so this one than the One, because the One was so spectacular. Obviously, it was a record-breaking show, but this one, you know, this is what Fight Week is. You come here and you live and breathe the fight. You speak to everyone involved with it. You speak to the fighters, the trainers, promoters, all the other journalists, and you know, it's 95% of what you do.
There was a little bit of drama yesterday regarding the type of gloves that Maidana was going to use. I believe this has been resolved or in the process of being resolved now. What do you know about this situation?
Without getting into the exact specifics, the easiest thing to say is that this is par for the course. You know, I think I've been out to more big promotions where this sort of thing has happened than where it hasn't happened. It just always seems to happen. There's always some kind of discrepancy, and people try things on and then they don't work, and then they try other things and then they do work, and then, you know, there's a lot of one-upmanship, brinkmanship, and you know, this sort of thing does happen quite frequently. Maybe not on the level of this, because obviously this is such a spectacular shop window for all concerned, but this is nothing new for sure. Can I just say something?
Go on, you can.
Last time you interviewed me was in Belfast, and I was absolutely hanging, wasn't I? I was so tired, and I think it was really embarrassing. Do you know what you always do?
What?
And you're probably going to do it now. Whenever you put one of the videos of me on YouTube, you find the worst, most dodgy still that you can find, and you put it like my mouth's half hanging open, my eyes are shut. It looks like I've come from the village of the damned.
Can I just say one thing? Being a YouTube semi-expert, you get a choice of 3 thumbnails, as they're called. So you don't really have a lot of choice to pick. So I know there was one interview I did with you where I can't remember.
You often get me the back end of really bad events.
I'll try and pick the best of the 3, but I think the occasion you're talking about, I think your eyes were like sensitive with your eyes. But we'll try and pick you a better thumbnail with it.
Yeah, maybe like if we could just do like 30 seconds where I just freeze with a nice smile or something. Then that might be one of the 3 seconds.
The worst is when you do a weigh-in, and the weigh-in's like 4 minutes, and obviously the best thumbnail for a weigh-in is both fighters head to head.
Yeah.
You don't really want one fighter on there because it looks like
you only got one part of it.
Yeah. So you don't always get that. So it's YouTube problems. But
let me ask you a couple of things.
Yep.
What's been the highlight of your week? Bear in mind we haven't had a trip to Hooters this time.
We haven't. Absolutely. I don't really know about a necessary highlight as an interview. I think for me this week, like...
Sorry, we're doing this wrong. Okay. Yeah, the highlight of this week?
I'd say probably Adrian Broner. I think he's really his attitude this week is kind of like where he's been booed, and he's been like he walks into the way and he was being booed, and he come on and he's just the whole Broner thing. I'm a fan and promote that sort of thing, the way he talks, but I find it entertaining. So he's kind of been a highlight this week. Of
course, last time you were here, Broner was here calling Malinaji, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that was like the best press conference you could have been at.
But to traditionalists like myself, it was like the worst thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although obviously I'm not that old-fashioned. I kind of got the whole thing. But yeah, it was a weird press conference, wasn't it?
It was a weird press conference, and like I said, traditionalists, there was probably a lot of quotes in the press conference that would never ever been
see the light of day.
Yes, in the light of day. But for us, it was good because we just put the press conference out raw, and it was great viewing for trash talking and building that fight up.
So everyone knows you came over here for the Mayweather exclusive. Looks like it's been a unicorn again, and you haven't got it. But how close did you come this time? Did you come closer this time than last time?
Not really. It's just what people don't understand about. Oh, are you going to get the interview with Mayweather? You know as well as I do that it's not. I'm not saying it's impossible, but for someone that doesn't do their trade in this country that he wouldn't be aware of, it's very difficult to catch his attention for him to come over. A lot of the other fighters do, like Broner I've interviewed before, and Hopkins, Malinaji, all these other fighters, Peter Quinn, all these other fighters, I've interviewed them before, so it's kind of like, they sort of do remember. But the Floyd thing's really hard, because if I want to stick my camera into a huddle of about 300 people and possibly get an odd question, I can do that. But our stuff isn't really based around. We put clips out, but very rarely do we put massive huddle. The huddle around Floyd come press time. So getting that one-on-one it's not impossible, but it's very difficult, very difficult. But I kind of know that, I knew that from the last time when I came here with Guerrero.
You're more likely to get him on off chance, aren't you? Find him through the casino or out in the strip somewhere.
But you don't really see him, do you? I mean, especially Fightweek.
He knows who he's speaking to and what he's doing, doesn't he? He's very savvy.
Absolutely. But to be honest, it's good. It's not a good thing, but there's always, to me, the only interview that I really want. There's other interviews that I want, but the one I really want, I haven't had, is Floyd. But it's kind of like, I don't mind that hasn't happened yet, because it's like, once it does happen, it's like, right, what now then?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Oscar today would be good.
Yeah, obviously, I've interviewed Oscar before, but
in the current circumstances.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I'd like to, I want to hear about Hopkins talking about, because he was talking about this the other day to the media about this whole the riff thing. So, yeah.
Right, look, you can have your camera back. I think I got my still out of that.
It might be a still of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Amir Khan. Obviously, kind of boring now saying, but we as British people thought for a long time that this was a nailed-on fight. Did happen that way. He's fighting his first fight on 147 against Luis Calado. Right opponent for him for his first fight?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we'd like to be proved wrong, but I think it's a real banana skin opponent. Calado, very high risk, not a massive reward, because not many casual fans either know Calado or remember him necessarily from the Hatton fight. Very good fight, obviously, coming off the second round win over Victor Ortiz. A real sleeper in the division, someone who's there and thereabouts and has been for a number of years, who's hard to look good against. And if Amir does manage to do that, then fair play to him, because Calado's a really, really tough opponent. I think it's possibly a harder opponent than Devin Alexander, who would have fought for the title.
He has to win this fight, doesn't he, to even put himself back into contention of the elusive Mayweather fight for him.
Yeah, I mean, if he loses this, then Mayweather's gone. I'm sure, probably quite possibly for good as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mayweather will start because Mayweather's end game is what, 18 months, 2 years max. And for Khan to get back on track after a loss, you'd be looking at another comeback fight and then maybe something else, then a title fight. And Amir fights twice a year, so this is probably Amir's window now. And if he loses tonight, then that could well be it. It'd be a shame, you know. I think Amir, if he'd been able to fight in his career where he'd been able to fight to a game plan, stick to a game plan, and had the right game plan for each fight, we could possibly be looking at an unbeaten fighter. And then you would have had 2 unbeaten fighters, and obviously Floyd would get off on that kind of promotion. But you know, he hasn't been able to do it. He's deviated from game plans, got involved into tear-ups, and tonight is a real crucial test for Amir, whether he can stick to a game plan and not get dragged into the trenches.
Just finally, Adrian Broner, coming off the back of that win from Maidana. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Adrian Broner coming back off the defeat to Maidana. Is this a safe fight back for Broner?
Yeah, it is. He's fighting a guy who's much smaller, hasn't fought since he lost to Amir Khan. And Broner's on a different level to this guy. Molina, I like the way he's carried himself this week. He hasn't bitten into any of Broner's antics or anything like that. He's been a real solid pro. But yeah, I mean, Broner's on a different level to this, and he knows it. And I mean, that's why they can justify having this kind of fight on this card, because they say that it could be a built-up in its own right, and it would be with the way the business works, because people are interested in Broner. I think, judging by the reception at the weigh-in yesterday, he's arguably more relevant than anybody else on the undercard in terms of the American audience, because his boos were pretty deafening. But you know, it should be a straightforward fight for Broner.
All right, Trish, I know you on your way for your morning walk.
Yeah, off for a stroll. All right,
we'll catch up with you later on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, mate. Thanks,
Cashiers, Tris Dixon, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Thanks.